we'll go ahead and ask our guests that are going to be on the stage with us to go ahead and come up. Okay, there you go. Let's see. I'm looking for Chris. Does anybody see Chris Fugit? Chris, please come on up here if you will. Folks, welcome. I can tell you the week before last when the governor asked me to come down and talk to him, to ask me how we're doing, that's the first time that's happened in 8 years. And nobody's asked us how we're doing. And so when I got the letters out to show him my letters, he had more than I did, and it was all letters from you. And some of those letters were desperate. Some of those letters were people were ready to give up. And that moved me, and not only me, it moved our governor, and so that's why we're here today. So I'd like to start us off right. I'm going to ask Chris Fugit if he would bless us at this time. So if you all would take your hats off, and we'll have Chris come up and say some words.
You know, as a lifelong resident of this county and a pastor of Gospel Light Baptist Church, I'm thankful that God allowed us to have a man like Bevin to be our governor. He's an answer to a lot of prayers. I'm thankful that he's not just somebody who talked a game before he got elected, but he's produced in just a few months, and I'm thankful for that. I challenge all of us to go to the Lord in prayer every day on his behalf as he leads us, and also all the other leaders of the state, and just to go to God. We must have help here in the mountains, and I'm thankful that God allowed us to have the governor that we have, and I'm looking forward to the blessings that God's going to give us through him. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day that you give us. Thank you for the many blessings. Lord, just the blessings of being able to live. Lord, I thank you for this place that we call home. And Lord, I pray that you'd help all those that have been laid off, those jobs that have been taken away. Lord, I pray that you would see fit in your will, Lord, to give us jobs back, to have things for our families to do, Lord. And I pray for Governor Bevin today. I pray, Lord, that you'd give him your wisdom, Lord, as he seeks your will and seeks your wisdom. Help him to make decisions, Lord, that will not just help us, but help our entire state, Lord. And I pray that as a people that we would turn our eyes and our hearts back to you, Lord, that we would not just give you lip service, but that we would serve you with all our heart, that we would come to you, Lord, asking you to do what needs to be done for our people. Lord, we need a spiritual awakening across the state. We also need material things, Lord, as far as jobs, and just thank you for providing for us. And Lord, you say in your word that you'll supply our need according to your riches and glory. And so, Lord, we come to you today. We thank you for all that you've done. We pray that you bless all of our leaders in every leadership position across the state. Lord, help them to lead us toward you and not away from you, Lord, to stand for truth and to stand for right. And it's in Jesus' name that we ask this. Amen.
Folks, this morning we've got a lot of elected officials with us. I see the mayor here, Mayor Jimmy Linden. We see our judge. I saw him somewhere. Judge, if you could stand up. If you're elected officials, stand up so I can please see you, because it's very important that people know you're here. We've got our judges, our fiscal courts, our magistrates. We got 3 judges here, 4 actually. Folks, these people here got a lot of work that they do for us on a day-to-day basis, and I know they had to drop stuff to come here today, so let's give them a round of applause. Thank you all. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to the college, and again, this has sort of been the crossroads for many of us, that very often these facilities in our communities are the places that we meet most often, so it seems very fitting for me to introduce Dr. Pate to us, and he's going to welcome everyone. Thank you, Doctor.
Thanks, Senator. Well, this is easy. You clapped for me, and all I did was take 4 steps. We'll see how it goes after I finish talking. But I do want to say welcome. Welcome to not just this event and this college, but welcome. You are welcome here. I want you to know that. I want you to know that you are welcome to be in higher education. First of all, I want to acknowledge and thank our Senator Brandon Smith for his work in providing this opportunity. You have a great friend to Eastern Kentucky here in Senator Smith, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we're here to bring some awareness to a crisis that has hit the region, and while we know that this crisis is of the social and economic condition brought about by the collapse of the coal industry, We also recognize that we're talking about the crisis of opportunity. Specifically, we're talking about the crisis of lost opportunity. You see, many people made a lot of decisions for decades that led to the growth of this industry in Eastern Kentucky. And many people made a lot of decisions for decades that led to the family-sustaining lifestyle that was afforded to us. And many people made decisions for lifetimes that made the coal industry the economic backbone of Eastern Kentucky. And then it seems like people made decisions in what felt like minutes that took it away. So it's that lost opportunity that has led to a region's devastation. And we've got a lot of attention in Eastern Kentucky for this crisis. And while we know that it is a geography thing and it is a sociological thing, it's also an individual struggle. And more so than anything, I think that's what we want to talk about. We need people working on broad-based initiatives. We need folks like Governor Bevin's work and Congressman Hal Rogers' work to continue with SOAR. We need folks looking into our economic broad-based spectrum. But we also need to look at what we can do for individuals and what we can do for families. As I said, this is a national crisis, but an individual struggle. So really, that's what I want to spend my time here talking about today, is where do we go from here? What do we do from here? The good news is that breaking things down to the individual level means that we have some power to do things for ourselves. And I want to take some time today to talk about what that can mean for our future. What I really want to do, I guess, is take a few minutes to speak to you and the world, if they'll hear me, and to our governor. And to you, first and foremost, again, I want to say welcome. Be here. You are welcome here. You're welcome in a world of high technology training. You're welcome in a world of higher education. It's for you. And I don't just mean here at Hazard Community and Technical College. I mean at any higher education facility in the state. You have been a wonderful, powerful force in the history of this great state. And you will be a wonderful, powerful force to its future. It's just that that future is not going to look like the past. The future of coal, the future of energy, the future of manufacturing, the future of the workforce is technology. And you can find that training here. You can become relevant to that technology here. You can do that. You can find relevance here. You can find that the 21st century classroom is much different than what it has been in the past. You'll find that a lot of you will find credit for your prior work experience that you have already attained right here. It is for you. It is possible. There are fields for you here in industry. There are fields for you here in health science that can lead to pathways for a meaningful career. There are fields for you here in cosmetology. And don't laugh, minors. There can be a field for you in cosmetology. My uncle always told me, son, either go to mortuary school or go to cosmetology school, because people are always going to die and the women are always going to get their hair done to go to the funeral. There are pathways to relevance, folks. It's just that we have to change our mindset, change our skills, change our abilities just a little bit. But we can do those things. We can become relevant, and it starts in places just like this all across the state. You can become relevant. You can become viable. You can become employed. Make the world take notice of you. Make the world take notice that we are willing to retrain. We are willing to retool. And to that world, I would say just that. Take notice. Take notice of Eastern Kentucky. Take notice of where we are. Take notice of where we are going. Take notice of what we are capable of becoming. Because we are willing to help ourselves. We are willing to learn and grow and evolve. And by God, we are willing to work. And we will. The workforce is here. And it is trainable. And when I think of coal miners, I always think of fighter pilots. And I'll tell you why. Because fighter pilots operate highly expensive pieces of equipment under conditions of high stress where lives are at stake. They are very trainable and they are very capable. And if a fighter pilot found himself or herself out of work, I don't think anybody would doubt that that man or that woman would be retrained and fully capable of doing another job. Guess who else I just described? Anybody who operates a continuous miner or a roof bolter? Well, guess what? They operate a highly expensive piece of equipment under high-stress conditions where lives are at stake. And they are trainable, and they are capable of doing something different. So to the world I say, take notice. We are here. And to our governor, I say, we're with you. We are at the crossroads of lost opportunity and relevance. And your vision of a stronger Kentucky can start right here with a workforce that is second to none. And we're with you. We share your vision. Eastern Kentucky shares your vision. KCTCS shares your vision. Hazard Community and Technical College shares your vision. We're with you. We share your vision because, Governor, your vision is our mission. And once again, to all of you, welcome. You are welcome. Feel welcome here. We have folks lining the halls ready to talk to you, ready to help you find that next step in your journey. God bless you. God bless our governor. God bless the state of Kentucky. Thank you all. Senator Brandon Smith.
You know, I think Dr. Pate may be onto something. I never had a haircut when I was a kid that Red Stidham didn't cut. You all remember Red? He was probably one of the toughest guys I know. So there could be a job for me in that haircutting stuff. But we appreciate his comments. I think they're very valid for us. We all know that there's a lot of opportunities, and we are trainable. We've got some of the most skilled workforce, some of the most dedicated workforce that you'll find anywhere in the United States. And so now here's somebody that appreciates that enough to come down here and tell you that. You know, we've had a lot of people pulling from us, but they've never bothered to come here and say, listen, you matter. The job that you do here matters. And so I'm very pleased today to introduce you to the governor who feels the same way we do about what we do for a living, what role we play, not only in Eastern Kentucky, but this whole state. So I introduce to you now very proudly our new governor, Matt Bevin.
Thank you. Thank you very much. As long as we're talking about people cutting hair, you know, he's still got hair enough to worry about that. I was joking with someone the other day, actually. I've had the same woman who's been cutting my hair for 15 plus years now, and over the course of 15 years, I've paid her more and more, and she's had less and less to cut. So I don't know who's winning in that thing, but it is interesting, and we'll come back to it. There are so many different ways in which you can make a living, put food on the table, be the breadwinner, pay the light bill, the kind of things that need to be done day in and day out, allow the next generation to have a better opportunity. I'm just grateful to be here with you today. I'm grateful for each and every one of you for taking time out of your day to be here. You've all come from other places. Some of you, maybe you truly had nothing better to do, but I doubt it. Every one of you could have been somewhere doing something else that needs to be done, something else that you've put off, because you wanted to be here today. You want to be part of the questions. You want to be part of the answers. You want to be part of the solution. You want to know what is ahead of us. What are our possibilities? And so thank you. Thank you for whatever it is that led you to be here. For those of you that are elected, most of you are in this section right in here, some magistrates in the back. Thank you all. Thank you for your willingness to serve your fellow man. And to each and every one of you, hold these individuals to account. Hold me to account. Hold those on this stage to account. We owe you. We work for you. It's not the other way around. You're not here to kiss our backsides. The reality is we're here to serve you. You pay us, and you should expect great things from us. You truly should. I'm grateful, too. I was struck by this as Pastor Fugit opened us in prayer. I'm grateful to be in a country where we can pray in the name of Jesus Christ when we start a meeting in public. I cannot emphasize enough what a blessing that is. Some of you know it. Based on your response, I think you know it in more than a passing way. Don't take that for granted. The core underpinnings, the very thing, the greatness of America, the greatness of this community, the greatness of our future possibilities are founded in the very Judeo-Christian principles that make this the greatest nation on earth. And don't let our president or anybody else tell you this is the greatest nation on earth. It is. And that greatness doesn't come because we're better than other people. I'll come back to telling you a little bit about my life and kind of what led me to here, because it may help us to put this in perspective. But I tell you what, I'm just a guy. I'm just a normal person like every one of you. And I've traveled around the world. I've been blessed to have that opportunity. I never even got to fly in an airplane until I was 17 years old. I won a trip through 4-H. That was the first time I ever really had a chance to leave anywhere outside of a couple hundred miles from where I grew up. But at the same time, since then, I've been blessed with a tremendous amount of opportunity. I've been in more than 20% of the countries in the world. I've seen a lot of what the rest of the world has, what their future looks like, what their opportunities are. And we are blessed. We are blessed with things the likes of which most of the rest of the world can't even imagine, let alone believe is a possibility for them. And part of it starts because we have a foundation that makes us unique and special. When you talk about the American dream, there is no Chinese dream. There is no British dream. There is no Italian dream. There is no Venezuelan dream. People don't talk about that the same way. The American dream is a distinct and unique thing. It is a real thing. And it is founded in this belief that we were endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. They're not given to us by government. Government can't take those from us. Government did not give us our lives, and government cannot take our lives. Government does not give us our liberty, and government cannot take our liberty. And this last one is very apropos at a time like this. It matters when we're in a time like this in this community. Government does not determine our happiness in our pursuit of happiness. We were not endowed by our Creator with happiness or a right to be happy all the time, but the pursuit of happiness is not something that government can determine for us. You've heard people say that your attitude determines your altitude. That's easy to say, but there's a lot of truth in it. There really is. In those inalienable rights that our founders understood, the right to life, the right to liberty, the right to the pursuit of happiness, these things are real. These are the greatness of America. I want to ask a few questions of you, and forgive me if I'm going to put some of you on the spot, but I'm going to ask you to play along, and everybody just keep eyes front and don't judge the people to your side that may or may not be raising their hands. How many of you in this room in the last 3 years have lost a job? In fairness, I want you to keep your hands up for a minute. Everybody look around this room for a minute. That's a fair number of hands, okay? Now put your hands back down. How many people in this room have a family member, someone related to you by blood, who has lost a job in the last 3 years? Look around this room. Look around this room. How many of you have somebody that is close to you, you sit next to them at church, your house is next door to theirs, who have lost a job in the last 3 years? That's just about every hand in this room. If you think this problem doesn't touch each and every one of you, it does. We know that to be true. This is why I'm here. This is not a game to me. I'm not here to try to curry favor with you. I'm grateful to the extent some of you supported me when I ran. Thank you for that. But guess what? I'm the governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Every corner of Kentucky, every part of Kentucky. I'm grateful to those of you who serve, those of you who are elected officials. Pastor Fugit, you serve this family, this community from a spiritual perspective. But as a retired state trooper, you have served time and time again. There are any number of people like you in this room. You serve already. That's my job, is to serve you. This is why I'm here. I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm not here to promise you something that I don't have the delivery ability to give to you. But I do want to enter into a dialogue with you. I want to have a discussion, and over the course of the next hour or however long it takes, I will stay here until you are done asking me questions or sharing your stories with me. But I want, over the course of the next little bit, you realize how interrelated we are, how interconnected we are. I want to ask another question. How many of you are, at a minimum, the fourth generation of your family to live here in the mountains? Again, look around this room. It's almost everybody here. The people who came over the mountains, not that many generations before 4 ago, the people who forged these communities out of the wilderness, these people were not soft. These were the boldest, smartest, most adventurous, most courageous people in America. They were the people who came over mountains. Other people were afraid to come over. You all are descended from some of the toughest stock in America. There is no problem that is coming down the pike that we don't have the ability to fix ourselves in this room. The power to do this is in this room. There was mention made of the SOAR Summit. SOAR is important. I'm dedicated. I'm all in. And I don't know, did any of you have occasion to be at that last executive meeting for SOAR? A few of you were there. And so you have some appreciation for my commitment to that, and I am committed. But there need to be a whole lot of pockets of that in communities like this. Because I'm going to tell you something that I think you probably already know. There is no magic solution. There is no pot of money that's being held dry somewhere. Our state is in severe financial trouble. The same troubles you're wrestling with in this community, in your homes, in your businesses, are the same things this state is wrestling with. We have a cost of doing business, the likes of which we are struggling to afford. We are in dire, dire trouble. Almost every dollar generated by our tax structure in this state is sucked up by paying for the pension obligations, paying for health care, specifically Medicaid, Medicare, and then additionally, the increasing amount of debt that this state has. The solution is not debt. There will be people that will come in here, and there are, even for you judge executives, there are people that will whisper sweet nothings in your ear, even during this budget process. And they will tell some of you in this community that if we just build this, if we just borrow some money from the future and we build the following thing, that'll fix it. Would you apply that same logic in your home? If the answer is you're not so sure or no, then it isn't necessarily the best solution for state government. And we'll come back to what then are the solutions. What is in our wheelhouse? We'll talk about that. But I'll tell you what, to borrow from the future, to borrow money today, I don't care how much it is. And we think, well, it's only a couple $100 million bucks. It's only a few $100 million. It's only $1 billion. It's only, trust me, that is real money. Who's going to pay for that? You're borrowing that on a 20-year note. Who's going to be paying that in 20 years? Your children and your grandchildren. And that it only works assuming they still live in Kentucky. It only works assuming they still live here. What's the likelihood they're going to live here if we've borrowed their future from them? The only chance they have to pay it off is to go somewhere else to find a way to pay back that obligation that we've incurred for them. And truth be told, they're probably not likely to come back. I grew up in the mountains. I grew up in a rural environment. I grew up well below the poverty level. I grew up in a big family. I was the second of 6 children. I'll tell you that only to say that, frankly, that makes me similar in upbringing to probably 2/3 plus of all of you in this room, maybe more. Nothing unique about it. But I'll tell you this, while I didn't grow up in these mountains and I didn't grow up in this rural environment, it's the same thing. And I left when I was 18 and I've never lived there again. And it isn't because I don't love it. I've been blessed in my life. I've bought a home that I am able to visit sometimes in the summer that's about 25 miles from where I grew up. But that's as good as I can get into getting back to where I'm from. Because there's no opportunity for young people. And instead of the coal industry, it was paper mills. And the EPA did exactly to the paper industry what they're doing to coal industry. I've seen the future, sadly, because I've lived it. And it's not good. And the end result is you decide, are we going to bring in the waste dump or the prisons? These are the kind of decisions that the local economy ends up having to wrestle with. And where I came from, they built a big prison. And while it did create some jobs at the outset, it created a very different dynamic. And ultimately, the quality of life began to go down. And the caliber of resident and the level of commitment people had and the number of people who really had roots in that community began to change. And I share this with you as a challenge to you. You own this community. You own your future. You're descended a few generations from the people who were the boldest people in America, like we said. They came over these mountains facing things others were afraid of. You have fears now. I do as the governor of this state. You think that this isn't something that weighs on me? I've lived this world. I see it. I know what's coming, and it kills me to see it. But I'll tell you what, I'd love you to get out in front of it. I want to work with you to get out in front of it, because if you wait to see what's going to happen to you, what's going to happen to you is not going to be good. It's not. I've seen it. I see the devastation. I go back to the towns. I grew up in a town of 250 people. You had to go to town. I mean, the town I grew up in had no gas stations, no post office, no stores, no schools, no anything. You went to town for those things. The town we went to had about 2,500 people. That little town is struggling. The big town beyond that, some 15, 20 miles away, had 10,000 people. That's largely boarded up. You go down the main streets of that town, it's depressing, it's sad, and yet it's beautiful. It's like this. You wouldn't want to live anywhere else. It's beautiful. The water runs, the sky is blue, the trees are stunning, the wildlife is everywhere. The caliber of the people that would bust their tail for you. It's very similar to this in many respects, and this is why I know for a fact that if we get out in front of this, we are the solution. Let me do this if it's all right with you. I would love to hear from you. I was trying to think of the best way to do it, and I was thinking I could come around, but in some measure, at the risk of sitting here and preaching at you, I'd love to hear from you. Tell me your story. Tell me why you came here today. And if it's all right, I may end up walking around and talking to you, but if you have a question of me, I'll repeat it so people can hear it. But tell me, sir, not to put you on the spot, why are you here today? What is your name? And
My name's Curtis Bishop. I'm a retired coal miner, and I retired out of mines, and I'm here just to see what you've got to put out here at us. I know that that coal is not everything here right now, but we'd appreciate any help that you could do for us in any types of jobs. We've got trained people, as he said, and these people they can do anything. They can fly the planes, and they can do anything else. And we just appreciate you coming here and taking the time to listen to us and to try to present your ideas on work for us.
Sure. Curtis, thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me. And I'll tell you, it's interesting, what he touched on, which has been said by those that preceded me on the stage, is true enough, and I'll come back to that. I want to touch on one thing he said first, though. We'll come back to workforce and workforce development, and specifically as it relates to this campus and the things and the people who are waiting at the booths up and down the hall. And we'll talk about that in a minute, but I want to come back to your comment about coal. Yes, coal wanes. Some of you have seen it before. It comes and it goes. Met coal in particular. The Central App coal has had its fits and starts, but this is worse than anything that's happened in the lifetime of anybody in this room. That's the reality. And the pendulum is still swinging in a way that's moving against us. And when rail lines at CSX, when they make business decisions that they don't have any choice but to make, that then affords us no option but to run coal to Richmond or something and back. When you start changing routes like that, that only exacerbates the problem. It makes it worse, it accelerates it, and then we end up with more of the same. And yet, I'll tell you this, what's interesting, never in the history of the world has there been more coal consumption than there is today. Never. The coal is being demanded by the world today more than has ever been the case in the history of the world. How can we not participate in that? We've got as much an abundance of it and a quality of it that the world demands and a knowledge of how to get it out of the ground. There is a cost-benefit analysis of things. I understand that the energy landscape is changing. Yes, people are fracking in North Dakota. Yes, gas is cheap and even oil prices are down. We see that at the pump. Yes, that has an impact. It always has. But I'll tell you what, we have an abundance of a product that the world wants. And I'm determined as governor, and this is my commitment to you, that to the absolute degree possible, I am committed to ensuring that we make maximum use of a resource that we've been blessed with an abundance of. We've got not only Central App coal here in the east, the Illinois Basin in the west. No other state has two distinct seams in this same way. We're blessed with an abundance of coal, and we ought to utilize it. It has shifted, and you've seen that. For the first time last year, first time in 100 years, Union County was a top producer of coal on a county basis in excess of all those in the counties represented by those in this room. First time since, I think, 1919 was the last time that happened. So that pendulum changes, but there's still an abundance of demand. And so what I don't want to see us do is lose the knowledge of how to get this out of the ground and the commitment to doing so. And yet, the reality is that pendulum has swung and is swinging. We've got to be realistic. I don't have the ability, and I wish I did, to just simply demand that X amount of coal come out of the ground and be bought. The state doesn't actually buy coal, and I think you all know that. One of the biggest issues, though, is those who do buy it, the energy suppliers, the people who produce electricity. They buy it. What do they need more than anything else? The same thing every one of us needs and wants in our own lives. They want stability. They want reliability. Their customers, who are you, want to be able to walk over to the switch on the wall, turn it on, and the lights come on, the heat comes on. So they have to plan years in advance. And the EPA and this current presidential administration has absolutely gutted coal. Our current president said he was going to bankrupt the coal industry, and boy, has he worked his hardest to make sure he's done exactly that. I'll tell you, the fall of 2016 can't come soon enough as far as I'm concerned. I'll tell you that right now. And yet, this is our reality. First, whether it was dragging on the permitting front or whether it's tying things up legally, we had a fantastic ruling last week when the Supreme Court basically said this whole, clean air, where they're asking us to basically restrict our own CO2 output and ask us to basically come up with our own execution plan for ourselves and our economy. And I said that we're going to not comply with this. We're not playing along with this. We asked, as did 26 other states, we said, listen, you give us 2 years to submit that, we're going to take the 2 years. When we all did that, I think they realized, guess what? Nobody's going to be playing along. This is what we've got to do, both as states and as individuals within this community. Collaboration, working together, this is going to be key. You touched on the skills and the ability that's here, and we've heard that from several folks already today. The skills are here. How many of you, and again, I don't mean to put you on the spot, how many of you had never been in this building before? Quite a number, quite a number. And there may even be some who didn't even want to put their hand up, and that's all right. This is not a scary place. The ability to be trained is extraordinary. My dad did a variety of different jobs when I was a kid. When I was little, he worked at a shoe factory at one time. It burned down. It never came back. That was in the 70s when shoe factories disappeared and they never came back. And that burned down. His next job was working at a McDonald's. Most of my life he worked in a wood mill, making parts out of dowels and things like that. Drove a truck, did a lot of different things. Always worked his tail off, always put food on the table. I was blessed to be raised by a mom and dad, frankly. Respected us, expected us to respect them. Treated us to love God, love them, love each other. I mean, a pretty simple life, but a good life. I'm grateful for that. But I always believed the world was an opportunity just waiting for me. I was cut from cloth similar to so many of you. The way you get that ticket, the ticket to ride, is education. And education isn't just school books. Education is skills. Education is opening your mind. Education is traveling. Education is recognizing how the rest of the world operates outside of these immediate counties. You learn that and you get that, and you're able to harness that through the very programs that are taught in this building we're in right here. And whether it's cosmetology or whatever else it happens to be. I'm a former active duty military guy. All the best haircuts I've ever had in my life, frankly, were nothing against the woman who cuts my hair now, but men make great cosmetologists. Now, I personally don't have any interest in cutting somebody's hair, and that probably applies to a whole lot of you. But some of you might, and as is true enough, you could not. That is steady business. And the good thing is, even if you mess up, and you've probably heard it, the difference between a good haircut and a bad haircut, 2 weeks. So think about it. I mean, really and truly. I mean, there's a lot of things. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's something that's more technical. Maybe it is something in the healthcare world. Demographics are indicated. We're getting older. Look around this room. Yes, there's some young people. 2 of them happen. I have 9 children. I think some of you may know that. I have 9 children. My wife and I were blessed with 5 children. We adopted 4 more after that, so we have no one to blame for this but ourselves. We did this on purpose, but it's great. I have 2 of my children here today. If you guys can raise your hand, they'll be a little embarrassed by this, but they're twins. That's Mackenzie and Madison. They're twins. They're 15 years old. I wanted them to come with me today. I wanted them to meet you and for you to meet them, for them to understand when I'm out there doing my job, who is it that I'm talking with? What are we talking about? What are the issues that we wrestle with? And so to that end, again, let me hear from others of you. What brought you here today? Ma'am, what brought you here today? And I'm sorry, I'm just going to, here's the thing. If you all want to raise your hand and I'll pick on you, great. Otherwise, I'm just going to randomly call on you. But just tell me your name, if you don't mind, and why you're here today.
My name is Phyllis Pate, and no disrespect, sir, but I came to spend the day with Dr. Pate.
Perfect. And that's outstanding. No, hey, it's about priorities. The thing you are doing is the same thing I'm doing with my girls. So I applaud you for that. And I'll tell you in all sincerity, one of the great things about this community is exactly that. There's no disrespect at all. I applaud you for that. I commend you for that. I'm sorry you have to listen to me for an hour and messing up the day, frankly. But think about that. I mean, priorities. What the values that this community has. You want to stay in this community. Part of why I'm here as well, and I will look at these cameras and I will say to any of the businesses out there that are not just in these communities, this is a community that wants to work. These are people who want to work. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that all of the businesses that come across the economic development plate that we have as a state understand that there is opportunity here. Yes, it's not easy to get to. Yes, we have infrastructure issues, but the workforce is extraordinary. And what we can do to mitigate those other things is my responsibility. What we can do from an infrastructure standpoint, what we can do from a tax standpoint, those are things I have some control over. Those are some of the things I'm committed to. And those are the kind of things that I'm going to determine that over the next 4 years we're going to bust our tails on. This was the first community I came back to, actually, after I won the governorship. I've come back here yet again. I don't do it for any reason. I actually genuinely do like you all, and I've always had such a good time in this town. It's an easy town for me to come back to. But I come back here because this is the embodiment of the issue that we're wrestling with in Kentucky, is a struggle for jobs. And we have the workforce. People talk about soft skills, though. Those of you who've recently lost your jobs, you have those skills. You know how to show up on time. You know how to stay drug-free. You know how to look someone in the eye. You know how to let your word be your bond and do what you say you were going to do. This is what our employers need. It's what our employers need. We have to have each other's back. We need to keep each other out of trouble, keep each other's hopes up and support up, but we need jobs in order to make that happen. Other people that want to share with me, I mean, are there others here?
Is it working?
Yes.
There you go.
First of all, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Governor, for coming to our home.
You're welcome.
Thank you. My name is Rebecca Gross. I am a daughter, granddaughter, niece, and sister to coal miners. My mother was thank you. Me directly, it's affected me emotionally through my family. I moved away from here. I've recently come back, and I've seen it slowly die. And I'm coming at this from a different kind of angle. Like you said, there's master craftsmen in here, people that can run machines that we could never dream of. In this city, coming from me, our mother was killed by a tree coming off the mountain that she complained about on Tuesday, and Saturday it took her. And my thing is that those that are unemployed or that may become unemployed, I might be overstepping my boundaries here, but instead of letting them go on unemployment, draw government assistance, let's let these men use these machines and clean up our town. There's trees now that are going to fall down every single day. The mayor of the city passes by it every day. I have a very special friend that is almost family to me that is struggling with an oil company here that goes past there every single day. Our youngest sister was behind my mother and saw it all. My father was the first one on the scene. So it has dramatized our family for many years. It happened in 2007, but it still affects us every day because we have to pass by it every single day to go home. And my suggestion is, why can't we let these people draw a check because of something they worked for? Instead of drawing unemployment, getting government assistance insurance, let them have some pride in going to work, and let's clean up our town until the coal mines can come back or something can come back to save this town. I love this town. I was born and raised here. I was raised in the house my mother was raised in, and my youngest sister still lives in that home. Coal camp is what it was. I live right next to the railroad tracks. I love the sound of that. I love the smell of coal. I used to love the smell of my dad that looked like a raccoon when he come home. And he always had his bucket it smelled like him, and his boots. Of course, I always got into the bucket for the Reese cup, but that's beside the point. But that's my opinion, and I speak and I talk to people all the time about these trees on the side of the mountain. And if you left from here and took a left out and went down to the brand new bridge that was just open, you can see that and appreciate that. Come through what is Glomar, Christopher, Lothair. You will go from the electric plant to the water plant, and in that short distance, you will see, if you look to the right, you can't miss it. There's trees within feet, within minutes of falling down at any time. How many people have to deal with that? Being hurt, being killed. That was something that was totally unnecessary, but we have to live with it. Our mother was a strict Pentecostal woman, and it gives us great ease, but the pain is still there when we pass by every single day. Again, thank you for coming to our home, and if we can all pull together, I'll dig a ditch. I'll do the tree. Brandon and I used to do it all the time. We can do this. Yeah, my mom made the best soup beans in town. So, anyway, thank you again for coming, and God
You're
bless.
welcome. Thank you. And thank you for that suggestion. And I hope you don't mind, literally, as I hear from you, I'm writing some of these things down. I'm as are people that are working with me. But I'm not here for show. This isn't a game to me, not even a little. This job isn't a game to me. I didn't run for this office because I aspired to be a politically elected person. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a father. I'm somebody who grew up as some in this room did, as I said, but I'm telling you, I care about the future. I want the Commonwealth of Kentucky to be strong, and the solutions are going to come from us. Others in this room that have things they want to share with me, with the other elected officials, yes, sir. And I'll repeat the questions as well. Oops, I'll come back.
Had at least 12 calls this week on people needing help to pay their electric bill, mostly senior citizens. I came here because 3 hours ago I had a gentleman to come in, and he had to sell his car to a car dealer because he didn't have the money to buy his insurance for the car. These are the things that we're facing now in Perry County, which we hadn't faced in quite a while. But I am a former coal miner. My dad was a coal miner. My grandfather was a coal miner. My great-grandfather was a coal miner. But what I would like, and what I would like to see, we're never going to see the Mountain Parkway in my life or my son or my grandchildren built from Campton to Hazard. But we could see Hal Rogers from London to Hazard. If we could see that, then that would open up eastern Kentucky. It's real simple. From Hazard to London. It's 60 miles. Speed limit 70. Do the math. How long is it going to take us to get what we can produce out of our industrial park, which we have? That's our problem now, Governor. People won't come here because of transportation. But that would solve our problem. And a lot of our clerks agree with me on that situation. And we just need, it's going to be devastating. It's going to be hard to make it without county government in eastern Kentucky. And it's going to be just about impossible. But now I see it every day. I see people doing without. I see people, it's just unbelievable. But the sad part is we haven't seen anything yet. You remember what this old man told you. You haven't seen anything yet unless we get some help. We've not seen anything. I'm sorry to say that.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. The microphone will come around to you in 1 second here, and right up here in the front. Let me get this gentleman first, and then I'll come to you, sir.
I'm Jimmy Sizemore. Working.
It is, yes, sir.
I'm Leslie County Judge Executive, and I'd just like to say that if you would train these coal miners to another job, I'd like to see jobs in Kentucky or the county they live in. Our problem right now is families having to move off. School kids are getting less attendance. That's less money for the schools. And for our county, and I'm speaking for all of our mining counties, we're in trouble. We're in serious trouble. The coal severance tax is down to nothing. What they need to do, in my opinion, is to change the formula some way. We get the bottom off of the bottom. We should be getting it off of the top because we produce the coal for what little we've got left. And I would like to see that formula changed and us get our fair share. Thank you.
Thank you. One of the things you'll see, Judge Sizemore touched on, we're talking about the coal severance tax. You all are familiar with that. And indeed, there's been 1,000 different apportionments. One of the unfortunate parts, not only has that number gone down significantly, I mean, it's projected in 2018 to be a third of what it was just 3-4 years ago. And that's the overall number before it filters down. And because of all these filters that are on there that you've talked about, there's not much that comes out the bottom end. One of the biggest screens on there now is debt. We're paying off debt for things we spent that money on that we weren't as thoughtful about it as we should have been. And unfortunately, now we have an obligation to pay off that debt. But one of the things you'll see is that in the budget that I put forward, and I would encourage you to reach out to your representatives, tell them to pass this budget. It's not a political budget. It's not trying to be cute with this, they, or this, that, and the other thing. I'm not trying to favor one group over another. It's a budget that is serious. It doesn't touch, it gives as much control to the county levels as has ever been the case, and even more than has been the case in recent years. It's not as fully, what you're saying is you'd like to get the first bite of the apple instead of the seeds, you don't even get the core anymore at this point, sadly. I hear you on that. Some of that is beyond my control based on the way formulas are by statute in place, and you know that. But some of these things I have been in discussion with some of you judge executives who I met with just recently, and you gave me a copy of a proposition that you're putting forward. I've got my people looking at that, and to the extent that this is something that we have the ability to move through the legislature, we will seriously consider that. But in the immediate term, what I am doing is preserving the dollars that are going to scholarships, that are going to education with technology in our communities, to ensure that our young people who are here do have the best foot forward. I would challenge you, though, again, for those of you who have contemplated it or have family members who think, well, maybe I should do that, but I'm not really a college-type person. This school that we are in right now, the technical skills that can be learned here will change your life. I also want to challenge you with something. I'm not here to give you a lecture, but I'm telling you it's as much of a lecture to where I came from. When I was a kid, everybody got the government cheese. I don't even know, I should perhaps know this. I don't know if it comes like it used to. It used to came in these brown cardboard boxes, these little rectangular boxes. And all our friends ate the government cheese, and we liked the government cheese. It tasted good, actually, and we'd eat it at their house. And I asked my father one time why we didn't get it. And he told me, don't ever take something that you didn't earn. I've never forgotten that. It's easy, maybe, but our life wasn't easy. I'm telling you, we had an unheated, I lived in a 3-bedroom house. I shared a room with my 4 brothers in an unheated house. It wasn't an easy life, but that's a lesson I have never forgotten. Give an honest day's work for an honest day's pay, and don't ever take something that you didn't earn. My challenge to you, I'm begging each and every one of you within your communities to be the person who brings that message, embodies that message. We have got to keep our young people and ourselves as well of our generation from feeling that there's such hopelessness that drugs are the answer. Drugs are destroying this community. They are. And we've got to stop it. And while I'm not here to preach to you, and my job isn't to tell you my spiritual thoughts on this or that, it's more than just an economic problem. It's a spiritual problem. It really is. And when people are robbed of hope, and then you made the comment, I forget who made the comment, about dignity. But frankly, there is dignity that comes from work. Rebecca, it might have been you. I think dignity comes from being able to do a job and doing it well, not from being told that you're good when you're not or that you're doing a good job when you haven't, being given something that you didn't earn. Dignity comes from getting out there and doing. There's something, whether you're coming home looking like a raccoon with a bucket that, that has smells associated with it, whether you're that, hands in the dirt, or whether you're doing something productive, when you're making things and doing things, there is dignity that comes from that. And there's respect and self-respect that comes from that. And for generations, for children, the memories you have of your dad, and that what that impacts on you and how that changes your perspective for your community and your love of this community, all that is still possible. Your children are watching you every day. The decisions you make on the weekdays, the decisions you make on the weekends, the decisions you make during the day, and the decisions you make by night, what you do with your free time, what you do with your free dollars. They're watching this. We have to take ownership of ourselves. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Gary Bentley. I grew up in Letcher County. It's just 30-so miles from here. I was an underground coal miner for 12 years. I was laid off in 2012. I was essentially forced to move away from my family and friends to find employment elsewhere. And, you know, like everyone said, we have a great workforce. We have hardworking men and women. They're skilled. They have skills that can be of use. So, you know, I want to ask that we move forward, transition, find the economy that's going to work for us here in Eastern Kentucky. And, you know, there was a bill put in place through Hal Rogers, the Reclaim Act, which would release $1 billion spread out over 5 years from money that's already in the abandoned mine land tax. And so, you know, that could create a whole new economy. We could put laid-off miners back to work. They can operate the equipment to repurpose this land for new economic developments, building better communities. But in order for that to pass, you know, we have to have the entire support, the votes from our congressional delegates. And so I just want to ask, would you please support that?
I would, and thank you. It's a great suggestion. Absolutely. I mean, just to add a little more detail to that, this is a federal level pocket of money. You're talking about $1 billion, and that's true, but it's $2.5 billion that have accrued, that are just sitting there, that are sitting there at the federal level. This is specifically for the purpose of reclaiming former mine communities like this. And Congressman Rogers' proposal is to take 40% of that, $1 billion of it. And the way in which that's going to be justified is that he actually has to get that passed, as you noted, at the federal level. It has to pass in the Congress, in the U.S. Congress. One of the ways that he's going to be able to make the case for that is if we have projects that show an immediate return on investment for the initial dollars. And he and I are working together on that. I spent quite a bit of time last week specifically talking about that exact area. And it is my intent to come up with, working with him and with others in the community, our judge executives and others, come up with ideas for where we can put a seed in the ground that will flourish and show that more seeds will do more of the same. We have $30 million that we have the ability to do some things with of this sort. That's not dedicated specifically to the mining communities, but some of those dollars could be used there. There's ARC money that comes through as well from the federal government that it can be used in this way. These are things beyond my control in some measure, except that we can come up with programs that will work, where we show that there's a good return, and I do intend to work with him. I thank you for bringing that to the discussion today, but I am working with him. And whether it is, I don't know, honestly, whether it can be in the types of things you're proposing. There are some limitations as to how we can spend those dollars. But I'll tell you, we're going to spend them wisely so that we can justify why we should get more. And Kentucky is as well positioned as any. The expectation, just so you know, the proposal is $1 billion of this money would come to states like us and others. There's 7 primary states that would be beneficiaries. There may be even more than that, but there's 7 primary states. We would expect that we might get as much as $100 million of that $1 billion. That $100 million would be over 5 years. That's the most optimistic we're hoping for, but that's not nothing. That's $20 million a year. This is what we're working on, and I am working with him, and you can bet that I'm going to take that to the absolute degree that is possible. Other questions or things? Yes, sir. In the back here in the blue shirt, and then I'll come up here.
I'm Ted Adams, and I'm been a local coal miner for several years and owned a small business. The last 10 years, I'm retired now. But really what I came here today was to talk to you because I watched you, and I know you're a great born-again Christian. And I work with a program called Neuroelectrical Therapy, and thankful to CRAD, your Kentucky River Area Development District. They got this 10 years ago. They got this to Eastern Kentucky. But we lost it for 7 years. And now we've got it back. One place in the state of Kentucky that has this is at the Isaiah House. But they only have like 12 devices. We can put this on these people. They come in with a drug in their system. We don't ask them to get off. They don't have to go through the misery. They don't have to be laying there sick, bummed, and diarrhea. And it stimulates, all it is a diode, they put them behind the ear, and that stimulates that part of the brain. It's set up for every different type of drug, completely computerized. And when they would be laying bummed and diarrhea and things, they'll be out playing softball or shooting basketball the third day, the second day. And it's the greatest miracle, but we can't get it FDA approved. And it's not a drug. And our course right now, Medicaid and Medicare is paying for Suboxone and methadone, and Subutex and Suboxone and methadone. And our Medicaid is going to be broke. And we had these devices, several places, that we could, these people come in there, and we don't even ask them to come off about 15 hours after they take their last drug. They put that device on them, and they'll be, the pain's gone. But what it does, it puts their mind back to a pre-addiction state. So I'm praying that I get you to, I know you're a great Christian man, you want to solve this problem. And I'm thankful for a coal company. We've got it for men right now, but we don't have it for ladies. We had it for a short time for ladies, and it was too expensive. We didn't have a small house for it. But now a coal company is letting us look, TECO or Booth Energy is letting us look at a facility for ladies, beautiful facilities. Without the coal companies, and they support Unite and all these things right there, I'm asking if you'll follow up with this and let us help you, let you help us get this approved where we can have it in every community. We can have it every, and after they go, they need a long-term rehab. If their life has been destroyed, after they get off and get their mind straightened out, then we can go to a Christian rehab where they can get other things worked on. So many of them has hurt their families so bad. Right now in Letcher County, the statistics is that 56% of the children in our school system is being raised by the grandparents.
Yeah.
And that's work.
It's interesting you say that, because actually that's an important point. The fact that we do have so many grandparents raising grandchildren. And I'll come back to the heart of your question here in a minute in your comment. But the fact that we have grandparents raising grandchildren, you all have seen that. We've all seen it. That was the case even when I was a kid. But we're now starting to find those same grandparents who are now great-grandparents trying to raise their great-grandchildren. That's when we've lost. We cannot win that battle. We must be the vanguard against that. We, those of us in this room, have got to do everything in our power. And you made mention of something, sir, which is true enough. We need these coal companies for more than the fact that they're employers. Their generosity and ability to give back to the community, to come on as the patrons of the arts and of the other charitable things that are needed in this community. This is what we cannot afford to lose. And yet, as was noted, we are starting to lose it. It is starting to shift. And so what do? The answer is we've got to work together. We have to have each other's back. We can't lose 2 generations in a row. We will lose the historical knowledge. We will lose things, the likes of which just social structure of this community will be shattered if we allow this to happen. There was another question up here. So as with respect to that, sir, I would say this. The FDA is something that, unfortunately, as a governor, I have absolutely no control over. It's a federal level thing. I would encourage you and anyone else that is moved by this, contact Hal Rogers. Contact your representative. Contact our 2 senators. Let me come back to this man first, but I would say this. Please do this, sir, because Perfect. And I'm telling you, he's an influential man. Congressman Rogers, in his ability as appropriations chair, has a fair amount of influence. He's been in that town a lot of time. And so we can do these types of things slowly through the FDA, but I have no control over that. But I'll tell you, we need some smarter therapies than just simply medicating everything away. There was another question right here. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, in the hat. I'm sorry.
Hello, my name's Randy Wilson. My father worked with railroad, hauling coal, and CSX out of Corbin. I think it's gone down a lot, so we were looking for answers there as well. But I wanted to return how we could help with this Reclaim Act to get it passed. You said if we have ideas, if judge executives have ideas for industries on some of the mountaintop removal sites, that they should propose those, the channels that they should go through, and that would help pass this kind of bill in Congress. That's what he needs from us.
He really does. Again, he is moving among his fellow congressional leaders to get them to agree, as part of this budget that they've just passed and some of the appropriations within that budget, to take $1 billion from this $2.5 billion and apply it toward projects. But what will those projects be? The likelihood is that Kentucky could get as much as $100 million of that again over 5 years, $20 million at a time. Where would we spend it? There has to be justification. What he would like to see is, even this year in Kentucky, a couple, 3 simple projects that will allow us to show a return that will justify the ability for Congress to get behind this and say, listen, look what they did in Kentucky. Look what they did with $5 million, $2 million, $500,000. Look at the kind of things that they did.
Something that's already been done.
Something that's being done, but something that isn't done yet. Maybe it's something that's being done we could do more of. He needs something to help him move the minds of other congressmen around the country.
So this could come from judge executives, local citizen groups?
Exactly. And in fact, here's the thing. I was going to come back to this at the end. I wrote this down as a note I want to come back to. The solutions are going to come from us. To your point, if you have an idea of something that can be done, don't sit on that. Share that. Share that with your judge executives. They will in turn share it with me. Share it with me directly. Bring those ideas forward. The solutions are here. There are literally some of them in this room. They're in the minds of other people who couldn't be here today. We have to be our own solution. There is not enough of other people's money to fix what ails us. There just isn't. There's not enough. We could take all the taxes we want from people. That just drives people out as well. Countries like France have done that. They decided they were going to take all the money from the wealthiest people to fix their problems. So what did the wealthiest people all do? They all left. They literally left. We can't, there's not enough of it. The solutions have to come from within us. But to your point, sir, please, ideas that you have of how we can spend that money wisely, bring those forward. Other questions? Anything? Yes, ma'am. And I'll repeat your question if the microphone doesn't make its way to you, although here it comes.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
My name is Sally. Sally, I am the wife of a displaced coal miner. I'm the daughter of a coal hauler from way back. I live in Wolfe County. I'm a hillbilly and proud of it. We grow our own food, meat, everything. My husband now has to drive 2 hours one way to go to work. You wanted to know why I was here. I'm here to try to figure out what we have to do to get my husband so he's not on the road 4 hours a day. And he's not mining coal anymore. He's making half the money that he used to make. Also, you was talking about, all the grants and everything. We're doing this in this county and doing this in this county. Well, there again, I live in Wolfe County. There's lots of miners in Wolfe County, but every time you reach out and try to find help, they're like, it's in Harlan County, it's in Letcher County, it's in Perry County. If you live in this county, we'll do this and this and this for you. You don't do nothing for us. You're sorry about your luck because we had to drive an extra 30 minutes to go to work.
Yeah. The key is, it goes back to, and I hear you on this, the key is we need to find opportunity that's closer to home. It's not just the time. It's robbing, it's his personal time, but it's time away from your family. And frankly, these roads aren't always the safest. We're in a season where, frankly, there's danger in being on windy, slick roads 4 hours a day. There just is. Again, so I appreciate that, and in some measure, the answer again is going to be, how do we find the opportunity? I want to make clear to you, to those watching, and understanding that from economic development standpoint, we need to make people aware of the fact that there are people who are working here. You should not have to go to Richmond or somewhere to get a job, or to London, or wherever the case might be. It should not have to be that way, and yet increasingly it is. But it isn't a function of just snapping the fingers and making it happen. I don't have the ability. I know you're not asking for that. But a lot of people think, well, just bring jobs here. I don't have that ability. What I do have the ability to do is to try to create an environment in which this is a place people want to come. And I can do that through things like tax structure. It's a function, though, of who we elect. If we listen to the siren song of people who promise us something for nothing, what party they're in, who cares? I mean, elect conservative people who understand you have to spend money you can earn, not money that's borrowed from the future. I'll leave it to you to figure out who's what. But thank you for this. And at the end of the day, if we do this, if we take this kind of self-responsibility, send people to Frankfurt to work with me who embody that. The people who are looking to grease their own wheels, the people that are looking for a deal for themselves and their families, the people that try to make laws to benefit themselves personally. I'm fed up with it personally. I hope you're fed up with it. Send the kind of people to represent yourself in Frankfurt who will represent you, who are you, who fight for you, who have nothing to gain themselves but will serve you. Send those people and we will get things done. It's not a magic solution, but we can do this. And I challenge you, don't fail to go to the ballot box and vote your values, not your party. Vote your values and not your party. There was another question. Yes, sir.
My name's A.B. Francis, 4-year active duty veteran. I separated from service this past July. Currently, I'm a full-time student here at HCTC. I also work full-time. As you may know, with the GI Bill, I had the opportunity to go anywhere in the United States to go to school, but I chose to come back to my community. My roots are here, and I want to make a difference. I'm only 22 years old. I've been around the world twice. I've spent a year in South Korea, and I spent a year in Dubai, in UAE. So I know as well what the rest of the world looks like. If you look at South Korea 50 years ago, it was nothing. Same way with Dubai 20 years ago. They knew that they were running out of oil, so they reinvested. They made a free trade zone. They have the world's tallest building. They're attracting people from Europe, all over the world. Currently at the bank that I work at, I work as a collections officer. So I'm experiencing firsthand, the devastating effects from the coal mines laying off, because of bankruptcy. Last week, had a gentleman who filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy, and he surrendered his house, his truck, and his boat. I'm the guy that's going to get his truck and his boat and do inventory of his house. I chose to separate from service. I had an honorable discharge. I want to see my community grow. 50 years ago, our population was more than what it is now. We've been on a declining population for quite some time. I think now is the time we have to do something not evolutionary, but revolutionary, to where people from not just in Kentucky, but the rest of the United States, the rest of the world want to come here to work. Where we can make Eastern Kentucky economically prosperous for the state, can generate tax income and supplement, if not do better than what the coal industry did for the state.
Outstanding. Thank you. I agree with you completely. I'll tell you what, this gentleman is a perfect example of what we're talking about. How old are you, 24 you said? 22 years old. Gracious. I mean, who wouldn't want to hire this guy? In all seriousness. And yet, and this is the message I want people to understand who are employers. There is opportunity here. There is untapped talent in these hills. There are people that are capable of working. There are people that want to work. There are people that will bust their tails to do what needs to be done and to do it well. But the solutions, again, are going to have to come as a result of something you touched on. We need to create a work environment. If I were to ask those of you in this room about Europe, I mean, you think about in Europe, if you wanted to make something, if you wanted something engineered well and made well, what country would you likely think of to go to? You'd probably go to Germany. That's the country that everybody thinks of. It's the backbone of the European continent. I want Kentucky to be the exact same thing for the United States of America. I want people When people think of something being made and they want it engineered well, they want it made well, they want the quality to be the highest possible, I want them to come to Kentucky. This is my vision. This is my mission. This is my purpose. My point in being governor is to try to change the trajectory, to do exactly what you touched on, to ensure that we are known as the place. This is where we make things. We make things in Kentucky, and we make them well, because we have the caliber of people. The fact that you did come back here, I appreciate that. I do. As a small-town guy who the fact that you don't forget where you came from. Be a leader. Be a shepherd in this community. Even at your age, you're a generation behind me. But I'll tell you what, you have the ability to be a shepherd, and I challenge each of you in this room to do the same thing. Don't be sheep. It's easy to be sheep. There's a reason Christ often compared us to sheep, because sheep move around in flocks and they bleat and make noises and they follow around hoping somebody's going the right direction, and they're afraid all the time. Be shepherds. We need the shepherds in this community to stand up like you've never stood up. If you've ever cared, care now. If you've ever stood up, stand up now. Our volunteer fire departments should not be struggling to find people that can come and help them out. Just think about it. That's a simple example of the caliber of a community, the fabric of a community, the pride in a community. Volunteer, step up, be part of that solution. I want to draw attention to somebody. I want to hear a few more things too. And in fairness, I know for a variety of folks, time is of the essence. I promised I wouldn't keep you here past 4. I want to hear from you, sir, and then you, ma'am, in pink, the gentleman in the back. I also want to, while the microphone's making its way to you, I want to draw attention to a gentleman who I'm going to ask to come up here in a moment and introduce himself to you and his background to you. And in just a second, let me get to your question. His name is Charles Snavely. Charles Snavely is now the Secretary of Energy and Environment for the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And I chose him because he's a coal man. And Charles, raise your hand in a minute. In just a moment, I'm going to ask him to come on up here and introduce himself to you, but I've asked him to be here as well because I want him to hear firsthand from you. He knows this world. It's where he spent his life. He'll tell you about that in a moment, but I didn't want to forget to at least let you know that he's here listening to us as well. Yes, sir.
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for coming here today.
You're welcome.
Seems like we get very little help so a lot of times from government officials that they're very important like yourself, but I was sitting next door over here at Cardinal Chevrolet. Actually, I was watching TV and you was on there, and I was so moved by what you was saying, I wanted to get up and come over here. So I got up and Darren Mullins brought me over here in the car and dropped me off, so I came inside. And
oh, thank you.
My grandfather was a coal miner. My father was. I've driven a truck since I was 19-year-old. Hauled coal all my life. 54-year-old, I had to make a career change because coal business is so slow around here where we're at. We have so many good people around here, and we just need a little bit of help. We don't need a lot because we're the kind of people here where I'm from, we'll help ourselves. Yeah, we'll help ourselves, we will, but we just need a little bit of help. I had one of my family members said something the other day, said, we don't want to have any kids. We don't want them to grow up in this. I have a little girl that's 6, a little boy that's 3. I had my kids, so they'll change the world. I want my kids to change the world. It's what I want. People in Eastern Kentucky, there's so many of us here. And again, I want to thank you so much for coming here today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I'll tell you, I'm moved by what you say. I appreciate your kind comments. I'm moved by what you say. You think about those children. My youngest child is 6 years old. My children are from 17 down to 6. This is why we're doing this. This man in pink and Charles, Secretary Snavely, if I can have you come on up here in a minute. I want to introduce you more formally in a second. But yes, ma'am.
My name is Barbara Deaton. I have retired from public teaching. I taught several years, 27 plus, in the public schools and taught my last years on this very campus that I truly loved. I love education, and I think that we have another major problem, and I think it's all very connected. The coal mines are connected to the railroad. The railroad is connected to the school systems, and we're all to the man in business, to the local flower shop and everything else. It's just like a domino effect, and this is what's happening to us. And as an educator, what is really bothering me is how it's affecting education. We are seeing a mass exodus of good students out of Eastern Kentucky. We're seeing a decline in enrollment in our public schools. We're seeing a decline in enrollment on our college campuses and HCTC. And this is all very linked. And it is very disturbing to me and as an educator to see this. By the way, I do volunteer. I still work in education quite a bit. But this is a very great concern, and I'm very glad to see that you are going to address some educational problems. We have a lot of schools in eastern Kentucky due to lack of money, due to lack of students that are financially distressed, and the state, in some cases, has come in and taken those systems over. And it amazes me, too, that it was even done in the legislature and previous administrations that they waived the Leave No Child Behind Act part that said that you could force a child out of a succeeding school into a failing school if you so desired in Kentucky. We were exempt from that because they were given permission. I think this is very unfair. I would like to see that readdressed, and I am glad that you are addressing a lot of issues in education.
You're welcome.
I think
Thank you. And your point is well taken. These things are connected, and that's important to understand. Don't think your problems don't affect the cities, too. Because guess what? Why do people come to Kentucky? Why have they come here? Why is Ford here? Why is GE here? Why do they manufacture things here? Why are the aluminum smelters here, those that still are? Why have they come here? They came here for cheap electricity, didn't they? Why do we have cheap electricity? Because we have coal. It's simple as that. I mean, that's the reality. It touches everyone. It touches every part of us, and you're right. It is, unfortunately, when people leave and or don't have children, the reality is there's nobody to teach. And yet we have an infrastructure there, and there are still children, and they need the best from us. And we do have to pull together to make this happen. Where did Secretary Snavely go? He's right behind me. Let him speak to you just for 2 minutes and tell you his background, his vision, his passion, and I hope you'll understand in about 2 or 3 minutes exactly why I wanted him to be in charge of the department that oversees energy and the environment. They're interrelated. But we need somebody who's one of us, somebody who comes from the real world, not somebody who's theoretical and comes up with all sorts of solutions for saving us from ourselves. I'm about fed up with that, too. So this is why Charles Snavely is here. Come on up here. Just introduce yourself, please.
Well, this is what happens when your boss wants to show that he can speak better than you. So... I know some of the people in the room. Haven I've known for a long time, and Jimmy Linden and I worked together, and I saw Don Gibson in the back, so there's several people that this is going to bore them telling my story, but, I'm a native of Prestonsburg, and I spent my entire career doing what most of you have done your career, in coal mining, and I kind of was sitting in that chair adding up all the counties across eastern Kentucky where I've worked, and oddly enough, since I'm from Floyd County, that's probably about the only place I've not worked. But Martin, Pike, Letcher, Harlan, Leslie, Bell, Perry, Knott, and so I kind of, I've been across that spectrum. But I spent my whole life in this business, and I've told the governor, I said, that every place I've worked was the best people I ever knew. And so I would take a new job, and it'd be these are the best people I ever worked with. They're the best people I ever met. So all across, and then I moved to West Virginia, and I have to say that although I love people in Kentucky, there's some pretty good people up there too. But the people that do what you all do it's humbling just how dedicated people are and how hard they work. It's hard to explain to someone just how hard people in this area work. So it's a shame, and it's very sad what's happened to our industry. And really what happened to me is that I was basically in the same shape as you all. I reached a point in my career that I could see that this was ending, and I thought, at least, and so I actually went back to school. So I did what the governor suggested that a lot of you do. I did go back to school, and I did manage to get a job. So that's proof that this works. See, but I had to go out of the area. So I ended up, fortunately getting a call from the governor and getting offered this position, which is something I hadn't really expected. But it's a way for me to do what I can do to contribute to trying to revitalize this area and do anything I can help. One thing people haven't mentioned is there's another project that that Congressman Rogers worked on, which is bringing $30 million into Kentucky specifically, that money's already there or is coming, that combines abandoned mine land cleanup with economic development. So it's it has a little bit less of the limitations on what the AML money does. So that's something that's kind of a current opportunity that we have, is that we're going to have to diversify. Everybody, you all talked about that. You know, there's limitations on what we can do competitively to re-energize the coal industry itself. So we have to give ourselves more options than what we had in the past, and that's what we hope to do through this. And in my job, I'm a regulator now, and so we do energy policy, and we regulate all the natural resources industries, logging, mining, oil and gas. And so our objective is to try to, whatever we can do to help, we're trying to make sure that we're not the hindrance to, in any industrial activity coming back. So I appreciate being here. It's good to see y'all. It's good to see people that I know, and I'm going to turn it back over because I'm like out of words.
You know, it's interesting. Secretary Snavely touched on something that's critical. I mean, what we need to hear from you, in addition to ideas of as this gentleman asked about, ideas for, ways in which we might employ those dollars to put people to work. We want those kind of ideas, but what can we stop doing to you? Part of why he is the secretary is that, frankly, so often people who come into government think a few more rules are exactly what we need. A few more restrictions, a little more regulation. It kills me. I go into some of these small mines, 20 trucks in the lot when you pull in, half of them are MSHA employees. And that's not to knock MSHA employees, but I mean, for everybody in there trying to work, there's someone looking over his shoulder. They've got to justify their existence, so all of a sudden they're citing this and they're citing that, and all of it's arguably with good intent, but it ultimately becomes so counterproductive. And here's the reality. Those dollars to fund this is coming from the federal dollars. So we send our dollars to Washington. The EPA bribes us with our own money to then stick it to ourselves. That's going to end. We're not going to be doing that. We're not. And this is part of why we want clean mines. We want safe mines. They've never been cleaner or safer in the history of mining in the world than they are right now in the United States. That's a fact. So at a certain point, there's a law of diminishing returns. The reason we have somebody like Secretary Snavely is because I want somebody who's been there, done that, who's been on the receiving end, who understands what is involved. We can be smarter about this. Will that fix everything? No, it won't, but will it make a difference? So let me ask this of you, to bring back up through your judge executives, through your magistrates, directly with my office, directly with Secretary Snavely's office. Reach us however you want to reach us. But I'll tell you this. Tell us what we can stop doing to you. What can we stop doing to the people of Eastern Kentucky? That will be critical. Well, I tell you what, I wish if I had that ability, sir, it would have been gone already. Yes, sir.
I deal with the drug problem quite a bit.
Use that microphone if you don't mind.
I'm sorry. I deal with the drug problem quite a bit, obviously, is due to my job. The one thing I can tell you that destroys drug addiction, drug dependency, is just exactly, a job. One thing I'm going to ask you to do, Governor, for the folks here in Perry County, and you got some mouthpieces up there that can help you out. Brandon, Fitz, you got our judge executive, our mayor, the council, the candidates here. Let people know we're adaptable. Let people know we can work at anything. We've been underground for several years, generations, as you've heard. We have heart. We have strong backs. We are a competitive labor force, which we're not getting anymore. No one's competing for us. Tell people about us. That's what you can do. Stop the negative. Stop everybody's on drugs. We're a bunch of idiots. We're a bunch of pillbillies. Stop that. That would be great, because we're not. We have too many good people out here. Tell Ford, tell Apple, tell GMC, anybody who wants to build, engineer, manufacture anything, tell them about us. Please, bring them here. No one's going to turn you down, honest.
There's actually some software companies that are teaching coal miners who are now unemployed in the coal industry how to code and how to do things in the software world, living proof of the fact that indeed we can do anything here. And I would encourage you, please, if you are in this room, as was noted earlier, take a look at all these booths around. They're over here to my left and to your right. They're out here in the hall. Stop and listen to what it is that is available to you here. Get an understanding. If not for you, for somebody you know, there is great opportunity. We've got to be part of our own solution. I've said this several times. I hate to sound like a broken record. We have to be the owners of this. I used to get laughed at during the process of running for office when we talked about the drug issue and something you touched on. And I said I thought the core root problem of this was economic. Because if you rob a person of the ability to make a living, you rob a person of the ability to do for themselves or even the environment or hope or belief that that's possible, then you take away their dignity, as we talked about earlier. You rob a person of their dignity, then you ultimately rob them of their humanity. You take a person's humanity away from them, and they end up making inhumane decisions about themselves, about their family members, about those around them, about everybody that they touch. They don't care anymore. They lose that care for humanity. It comes as a result of an economic decline. You are correct. We owe it to ourselves to be the solution, but we cannot be the victims. We have got to lose that. I am telling you, Perry County is worth it. Every one of these other counties is worth it. Kentucky is worth it. And America is worth it. Do you believe it's worth it? Do you? Do you believe it's worth it to fight? Because if you do, fight like you have never fought before. If you do, fight like you mean it. Fight like losing is not an option. Fight for your neighbors. Fight for your own family. This is our responsibility. There was another question over here somewhere. Did somebody have a question?
A couple of comments, and it's just kind of, a lot of people have said a lot of the same things, but the infrastructure, when we started talking about bring in the Apple, bring in the GE, bring in, of course we don't want to put our eggs back in one more basket. We don't want to do that. But to diversify, we have to have infrastructure. And that infrastructure is outrageously expensive. We have huge mountains to move. One stretch of 3 or 4 miles can cost $40 or $50 million. But we need to make it approachable to other companies. And that takes a huge investment, and that is not something we can do ourselves here. That is something that we need help from someone else, either at the state or the federal level.
One of the ways we can transcend the mountains, literally, is with technology, too. And this is why Hal Rogers' initial idea with this broadband and bringing this to eastern Kentucky. And then, unfortunately, that whole process got a little bit hijacked and sideways, and we were going to try to bring it to all of Kentucky. And while that's great in theory, if you try to run before you're even walking, you're going to trip and fall, and that's essentially what's been happening to that project. I am committed to the extent that it is possible, and I believe that it is, and I'm working with Congressman Rogers on this, to make sure that we refocus the energy of this broadband initiative and refocus it on these counties we're talking about. Because those airwaves and these electronic capabilities go over the tops of mountains. And they have the ability to open this community up in ways technologically that may not be immediately possible for time and dollar reasons to do physically. So your point is well taken, and you do need help. I'm committed to it at the state level. Congressman Rogers is committed to doing what we can at the federal level, and he and I are working to make sure this happens. I'm committed to making sure that we focus on this, and if it's even remotely possible, and I believe that it is, and we're doing it, we're going to make this happen in the years ahead of us. We are.
To the second point that you just made about the possibility of broadband in those jobs, we need to be able to offer and to give the people that need retraining or even new high school graduates, we need to be able to offer them the programs, and we need to be able to deliver those programs to them and not have to turn students away because of wait lists. We did talk about declining enrollments, I understand that, but we also have programs that have wait lists because Again, those kinds of programs are very expensive to operate, and to expand a program like that takes a lot of money, and everyone knows that we're suffering budget cutbacks. And so for us, for the community, especially communities that have colleges, for us to meet that need and be able to educate that workforce that's going to draw those employers, we have to be able to train those people. And we have to have the means to be able to do that, and the wherewithal to be able to do that. So we hope that you will support us in that as well.
Thank you. I don't know how many of you had a chance to watch the budget address we put out there, but it speaks to exactly that. Because I grew up where I grew up, most people didn't go to college. Most people went straight into the workforce, working in the factories, the mills, the paper mills, or the companies that supported them. But I'll tell you, modern day times demand some kind of follow-on to 12th grade. It doesn't have to be a 4-year degree. First of all, let me say this. This idea that every kid needs to go to college and get a 4-year degree is crazy. We need to stop saddling young people with that assumption. It isn't to say that that's not a real possibility for people, because it is. You don't need a 4-year degree to be gainfully employed. You don't. I've shared this with some, and I'll share it with you all. I mean, there was a plumber who got a call from a doctor to come and fix a problem at his house, which he did. It took him about 45 minutes to fix it. And he gave the bill to the doctor, and the doctor looked at it and said, "Good grief." He's like, "Seriously? I mean, this is, wow. I mean, I'm a doctor. I'm going to pay you. I mean, I called you, and you fixed it, and I appreciate it. Wow. Really? I mean, this wasn't even an hour." And he kept going on and on. Finally, the plumber put his hand on his shoulder and said, "Listen, I understand exactly how you feel." He said, "I felt the exact same way when I was a doctor." And sadly, it's becoming the case. The average age of a master electrician in Kentucky is 57 years old. We need skilled trades. We are in a building that will train you for jobs of the future. There are people at these tables that will help you do it. In the budget that I put forward, while we are cutting budgets where we can and tightening budgets just as we have to in our own homes and business at the state level in order to pay the obligations we have, even so, at the same time, I've said I'm going to sweep not 1 cent from the lottery money for the next 4 years. That's over the next 2 years alone, $62 million additional dollars that are going to go to financial aid to help our young people. That's what those dollars were intended for. Previous administrations have taken them and done other things with them to balance the budget. I'm not going to do it. In the next 2 years alone, that's $62 million more dollars than will have gone in the previous 2 years. That's one commitment. In addition, and this is my challenge to you, sir, and to those in this room and those in the community who have ideas, I want schools like this to partner with business leaders in this community, come up with solutions. I am willing to bond $100 million. That's in my budget proposal, which, again, I encourage you to ask your representatives to support, because it helps communities like this. It shores up our retirement plans for teachers and for our other state workers, but at the same time, it invests back in education, because we need $100 million in workforce development. We don't need people to get useless degrees that cause them to have $20,000 and $40,000 and $50,000 in debt and come home and live in their parents' basement with no skills and ability and a few good drinking stories from the last 4 years. We don't need that. And the taxpayers don't need to keep subsidizing that. We do need to spend that money on ensuring that people come out with usable, tangible skills, skills that allow them to go into the marketplace and provide for their families. This is where we are going to spend $100 million, but we're not going to spend 1 cent of it if it's not on a good program. And the solutions are going to come from institutions like the one we're sitting in right now. This school has the ability in this community to come up with programs that will allow some of the very unemployed people and perhaps to be unemployed or previously unemployed people to upgrade and find opportunities. That is what this money is going to be spent on. $100 million in the next 2 years is a lot of money for workforce development training. But there are thousands of jobs in the Commonwealth, thousands, that are going unfilled right now. I understand most of them are not in this community. Fair enough. But amazingly, even in this community, there are certain technical skills and challenges that people are having finding people qualified to do the job. It sounds simple, and I, again, don't want to beat the drum to death, but I'll tell you this. We need people who know how to show up on time, people who will stay sober, stay off drugs, look someone in the eye, be honest, not take monies that aren't theirs. These are simple things. It's how most of us were raised. I hope all of us were raised, but certainly most of us were. We have a responsibility to ensure the next generation is no different, that they have these values. And where there is a home in which you have a great-grandparent or grandparent struggling to try to raise kids, let us step in. We need to step in and have their back. We shouldn't defer it just to the pastors in our communities or just the people who are paid social workers. We have a responsibility to be our brother's keeper. Every one of us has that responsibility because it's worth fighting for. Your stories are proof of that. It is worth fighting for. I've got, again, I promise to have folks out of here in about the next 5 to 10 minutes. Other questions? Yes, ma'am, and then over here.
But I always come back home to Eastern Kentucky. I choose not to move, and the reason that I do that is because of the view from my front porch. And I think our mountains here are just as nice as the mountains in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, or in Helen, Georgia. And those cities have built a viable economy on tourism. We have outdoor adventure here. We have artists. We have musicians. We have crafters. So I think there's some opportunity there. I'd love to see a national campaign to change the opinion of Eastern Kentucky, to make it something and a place pleasing for people to come. And I think if we had pictures to portray the beauty that's here, and we could really build something with tourism.
That's something we can do as a state. Thank you. The gentleman that I've hired as the Secretary for Tourism in this state is a guy who's worked in the Fortune 500 world. He's not a bureaucrat. He's not somebody who believes that we just put up a few marketing things and it will come. He understands how to build out infrastructure. He understands how to, he used to be the head of franchising among other jobs that he's had through the years. He had global franchising responsibilities for Kentucky Fried Chicken. You know, thousands of employees all over the world, but he knows about how when some things are working and not working, how you tweak things to make everything thrive and work effectively. These are the kind of skill sets that have come to this administration on purpose. Your point is well taken, but think about it. What makes Pigeon Forge Pigeon Forge? Give me, I mean, there's one real reason Pigeon Forge, for example, you mentioned Gatlinburg, but I'm thinking of Pigeon. Why is Pigeon Forge what it is? Exactly right. Dolly Parton, one person. One person who, like you, believed. One person who said, this is going to happen where I'm from. One person. Who's the person in this room? Which one of you is that person? Who's the person who's going to step up and say, not on my watch, the candle is not going out on my watch? I hope there's more than one of you in this room. I look forward to working with you. Why is Austin, Texas what Austin, Texas is today? Because one guy started a little company in his dorm room at the University of Texas, Michael Dell, and decided to keep it in that town. It was another sleepy little college town 30 years ago. Look at it now. One of the most vibrant, thriving, forward-thinking cities in America. Because of one person. I have time for one more. In fairness, the broadcast is going to end at 4, and we promised we'd get things wrapped up, but I'm going to stick around for a bit, and we'll continue to talk with you, and I want to meet with you, and I'm going to sit down here, and I'll talk with you as long as I'm able to. I hope I'm not promising my time that I don't have, but I'll be here as long as I can be. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. My name is Gary Begley. I'm a retired coal miner. I've been trying to do some stuff in my community to develop tourism and stuff. But first of all, two things. One is, what as a state do we offer companies to bring their factories and stuff from Mexico and Honduras and Haiti back to Eastern Kentucky? What as a state do we offer to get those companies to come back here? Because they was here at one time.
Yeah.
Another question is that we've been trying to develop a 1860 village similar to like the one on Interstate 75 that attracts a lot of tourists to the area here in Perry County. But we've actually had a Civil War battle going on here, reenactment for now about 12 years. And it's supported by a lot of the different counties around in the surrounding area, so it's a real good tourist draw. And just a couple weeks ago, I was up there doing some volunteer work on the property, and in one day, I had a car come through from Illinois and a family, and they was out taking pictures and stuff of some of our structures. I had one from Ohio and one from Tennessee. Within a matter of about 4 hours, you know, we had people from all over coming up there just in order to be able to see the area, to come back and look at a place where they actually went to school at. And, you know, it's just stuff that we can do here in our community with a little help. You know, we just need some backing, both statewide and also local too. And I will have to say, some of the counties in the surrounding area has been very helpful for us. Like I said, we've been doing this for 12 years, and we got a really good start on a village up there that's a real tourist draw to the area. And
thank you.
Thank you for coming today to help us.
You're welcome. And to answer your first question, I mean, what can the state do? Tax incentives, giving people. We need this state to be a state, like we said earlier, that people think of. We want to make something here. We want to move something back here. We're going to Kentucky. Where is their workforce? Where are there people willing to work? Where are there hardworking, honest people, God-fearing people that will bust their tail for you? We're going to go to Kentucky. We're going to go to Eastern Kentucky. We need that reputation to get out here. We do, and this is my commitment, is that I'm going to do everything in my power to, it starts with tax structure. We don't even have time in this budget session where we're trying to not bleed out, but we have got to fix our tax structure to make ourselves more attractive to states, because Tennessee and Ohio and Indiana are eating our lunch right now. They sure are. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I want, my vision for success is 4 and 14 and 40 years from now, the governors of Tennessee and Texas and Florida, they wonder why their kids have to go to Kentucky to get a job. That's what I'd like to see. We've got, here's what I'm going to do, and let me double check. I mean, from a timing standpoint, right after this, do we have, then what I'm going to do is this. We're going to wrap things up in some, I'm going to take one more quick question, and then I'm going to stay here and continue to take questions, but we just won't be broadcasting. I want to be respectful of those who graciously are doing that. Yes, sir. Who had a question over here? Okay.
First of all, let me thank you for coming and listening to us today. My question is whether it's state level or federal level. I'm a 25-plus year veteran of the coal industry who is now unemployed, and we are buying coal from China. We're buying coal from Russia. I read an article Wednesday in Bloomberg Business, 400-plus metric tons of coal waiting to be unloaded in New England from Russia.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, there's more than 10,000 unemployed miners. Me is one. What can we do to change that?
this is part of my outrage as well. It's a good point, and it's a good way to end this section, and then we'll keep on discussing. This goes back to what I said. The world is demanding this product like never before, including ourselves. People say that the future doesn't involve coal. Well, I'll tell you right now, the bridge from wherever we are to whatever the future energy looks like is going to be built on the back of coal. That's a fact. It's going to be. There's literally no possibility for it not to be the case. It is the #1 producer of electricity in the world. It's the #1 producer of electricity in this country, even now. You don't just turn it over like that. Exactly. The future, while it's declining, it is still, the future is dependent on coal. And so to that end, let me close this section with this. And for those that are watching, thank you. If you have tuned in and you were moved like this gentleman to come down here, thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in yourselves. Stay tuned. For those in this room, we'll continue to talk. But fight for your community. Fight like you've never cared about it before. Okay, well, apparently we can go beyond 4 o'clock, so we're going to keep on going. But I tell you what, and so to those at WYMT and others, thank you for that. But the bottom line is, if you're tuning out because you've already mentally decided to check out at 4, we'll say goodbye to you, but stick around if you can. We're going to continue to take questions from people and hear from those in this room. But fight like it's your community, because it is. Other questions? Yes, ma'am, right here, and then we'll come up here.
Hi, I'm a local businesswoman, and one of the things that we had done was we bought an old building that we've been trying to refurbish. And, you know, when you talk with these businesses to get them to come to Perry County, I would suggest that we, instead of building all brand new buildings, use some of the buildings that we have here. I hate to see old buildings just demolished because they're old, but they really could be redone. And, I mean, we've revitalized the downtown area to look beautiful. And one of the sore spots is an area that is been burned down, heard that there's asbestos, not really sure, got to get it cleaned up. Nobody wants to really address the problem, and it's an eyesore. And we don't want that just to be in the newspaper. We want us to be a community of, a community of people who care about one another, that we love God, we love our country, we want what's best for our families. And all the people here that have said something, we do thank you for coming here. And we know that we're not looking for government to solve the problems, but we want people to understand that we're intelligent people. We are people who love each other, and we believe in this community.
Thank you very much. And I tell you, I mean, it starts with each of us. We've said it several times, but I'll tell you what. In this community, you want to make an impact on whether it's the person from Ohio or Illinois or wherever it is that they've come in from, Tennessee, that they happen to be here for whatever number of reasons. What if they drove into this community and they didn't see any trash on the side of the road? I mean, none. Think about it. Think how exceptional it would be if this county was the only county in Kentucky where we picked up our own trash off the side of the road. We didn't throw our trash out the window. We walked past something on our way into this building, and there's trash in the parking lot, and we knew we were going to walk right by a garbage can in 20 feet, and we pick that up and we drop it in the garbage can. That's what I do. I'm the governor of the state. That's not beneath me. I worked for the highway department for years picking up trash on the side of the road. I've done it in my own home. My children know this. Heaven help you if I see you throwing any trash out the window of a car I'm driving. I'll tell you that right now. Heaven help you. So let's do it. Really, to this woman's point, have pride in ourselves. Heck, if we had half as much pride in ourselves as Texas has in themselves, we'd be 3 times better than Texas. I'm so tired of hearing about Texas. Come on. It's a nice place, but who wants to live there in the summertime? Nobody. Nobody. We want to live here. Let's have pride in ourselves. This is our state. This is our Kentucky. There was a question up here. Yes, ma'am, in blue.
Yes, I'm Victoria just said, and I'm president of Royalton Trail Town, and that's in McGoffin County. And I want to thank you for coming down, Governor Bevin, and sharing your family with us and listen to our comments today. I'm really glad that we got on the subject of tourism, because right now we're planning some events for our small trail town. It was the 10th trail town in Kentucky. And we're really needing tourism to come to our area because of the lack of coal mining. And it's been the best kept secret, seems like. Most recently, last week, I was in central Kentucky, and I visited about 15 different gyms. Some of these gyms, like one in Georgetown, Kentucky, the lady there was actually, the owner was from Paintsville, Kentucky. Another store I went in was actually from McGoffin County, the people was. They'd never heard of the Dawkins Rail Trail. And it's amazing that a lot of people has not heard of a beautiful trail that will be finished this spring, and it will be the longest trail in the state of Kentucky. So I'd like to invite you and your family, for one thing, to come down and enjoy our trail.
So how helpful would it be if the governor and his family all rode horses down that trail?
There you go. I saw you riding that other
Seriously.
horse. Really? I saw you in the, hey, you went down to LaGrange and you rode that other horse, so come down and get on a
Let me know when it is. I can't promise you that because I don't even control my own schedule,
Okay.
sadly.
I
But
think one
that's why I
thing-
have to ask for permission to keep talking.
You've asked for it, you're going to get it from me. One thing you can do is when this trail is finished this spring, to come down and do an event with us. Bring your family.
I would be happy to do it.
And the other
here's
thing that we need immediately, we need some advertising from Frankfurt. We really do.
another thing we've committed to doing is we're going to stop sweeping the tourism dollars that we've been sweeping for in recent years, everything that we can sweep. I'm not sweeping these dollars anymore. The dollars that are meant to be marketing our tourist gems should be used for exactly that.
That's it.
And only that,
Exactly.
not for other things that are wasting money.
That's right. That's it. And, you know, it's like the lady said back here, we're talking about bringing things in. We have things here that we need to use,
We do.
you know, with a few more dollars.
So this McGoffin County Trail, I mean, for the other things
It's
too.
Dawkins Rail Trail, and it covers 3 counties. I work with Judge Smith here. We're in Breathitt County. It will be there when it finishes in Breathitt. We'd like for you to come down and do an event.
I don't know how long you want me to ride this trail now, but
No, well,
I'll get saddle sores. My backside's not what it once was in terms of
You did
handling
pretty
that.
good
But
at
I will
that.
say this. These are the kind of things. What else can we do in your community? I don't have an endless amount of supply to come and do everything, but what are things that if the governor comes and does with you, like this conversation, will draw attention to an area? I'm willing to do it. Frankly, this is a lot more enjoyable to me than sitting in my office in Frankfurt and dealing with a lot of the stuff I have to deal with. I still have to do that, and I will do that. But tell me, what are things I can do to help you? That's a perfect example. If I can be there on the day it officially opens, I'll try to be. Make sure we know when it is. And if not, I'll get there as soon before or after that as I possibly can. Other things that people want to, yes, sir.
Yeah, I definitely have something I'd love for you to come out and check out. It's right here in our community. It's a great grassroots organization that's brought a lot of important players to the table. It's called Envision Hazard. Just last Monday, we got 40 volunteers out painting a mural in downtown Hazard. First of many. We're really working hard to beautify and revitalize downtown Hazard. We could use some support, so come check out Envision Hazard. It's another great way that we're working to make an awesome Kentucky.
Let me ask you a couple questions before you stop. How do you communicate the projects you're working on to people?
A lot of it is within the community. With
Just word of mouth kind of thing? Or
we have meetings once a month, which you could definitely come
Where do you
to.
meet?
We meet in City Hall.
At what time and what date?
I can get you that information.
Okay. 6 o'clock on, is it this, like, first Tuesday of every month? First Monday. First Monday of every month, 6 o'clock, City Hall. First Monday of every month, 6 p.m., City Hall, Envision Hazard, the things we're talking about. If you want to show your pride in this community, if you want to get involved, step up. Step up. 40, that's crazy. There's 40 times, 10 in this room, for crying out loud. If you've never, how many of you have ever been to an Envision Hazard meeting? A fair number of you, outstanding, but less than 40. So guess what? Bring somebody with you next time. Thank you for sharing that. That's a perfect example of the solutions that are going to come from within. You say, well, what does that do? That's not going to make a job for anybody. Maybe, maybe not. But it will instill pride that makes this place shine. This will be a gem. Somebody used the comment earlier about how certain gems in other parts of the state. Well, this is a gem too. Let's dust it off and hold it up. This should be one of the crown jewels in Kentucky. It should. Other questions or comments? And again, if you have to leave, please do. You're not going to bother me. We've stayed beyond time, but I do want to hear from you as long as I'm here. Yes, sir, back here, and then I'll come up here.
One of the themes that you keep hearing, I think, is the need for jobs and the need for jobs soon. There are a lot of great things happening in the region. There's a lot of great training. There's a lot of great opportunities, but we're losing people every single day. And so I hate to use a word like jobs program, but it's the sort of thing that I think we need, not as a permanent solution, but as a bridge from where we are today, to keep people here so that, keep the education strong, to keep the tax base strong, to keep people working in the community until all of these great efforts that are underway take root. And whether those jobs are based in infrastructure needs at Melissa or the broadband or affordable housing. Haven mentioned people who can't pay their electric bill. Electric rates are going up. Energy efficiency is a great way to put people to work and help other people at the same time. So I hope the state will consider looking for some ways, not as the only solution, but as a way to kind of bridge to help us create jobs and create them immediately.
Thank you. It's a good suggestion, not unlike it was Rebecca, I think, in the back. Is that you're right? I mean, similar to the kind of things you're saying. It's a great suggestion. It really is. Thank you. There was another question up here. Yes, sir. Okay, cool.
Yes, my name's John Montgomery, and I'm a small business owner in McGoffin County. And along with our Dawkins Trail, I'd also like to enlist your support in locating a veterans nursing home in our county. We're centrally located. We have plenty of available labor. There's a great need. Our veterans are in need of a facility that is close by and centrally located. Thank you.
You're welcome. No, I will take that. I'm making a note of that. And what I'll do is take a look at where dollars are being allocated, where the suggested places are, and make sure that this community gets the full consideration that is possible. Because you're right, we're getting older. Over here, yes, sir.
Thank you, Governor, for coming down this afternoon and talking to us about these pressing issues we have in our community. My name is Tony Bowling, and I'm here today to support the lineman program here at HCTC. In 2012, I was furloughed from the coal mines. Industry apparently drying up in this area. And I had the opportunity to attend the lineman program here at HCTC to be retrained in a new career field. And fortunately for me, The program fit exactly into what I needed at the time. I was older, 48 years old, a family, not really financially able to go back to full-time school and be re-educated in another career. The lineman program here at the college is a 12-week program. It's short. It's a perfect program for our unemployed coal miners to get back into the workforce in a relatively quick period of time.
Outstanding.
So not only do they train you, once the training is over, the administrators continue to push forward to find work for you. So you're not just thrown out in the cold after the program is over. They actually help find you job placement. And it's a perfect fit for the unemployed coal miners here in Eastern Kentucky.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing that with us. I mean, truly. I mean, thank you. It's a good example of exactly what we're talking about. And again, I'll say it for the umpteenth time. See these people. Even if you don't have time to sit and have a long conversation, get a business card, get their phone number, get some information to read at your own leisure at home. But come back, use this resource. We are blessed in this community. HCTC has been here a while, but I'll tell you, it is an incredible resource if we take advantage of it.
Thank you for being here today.
You're welcome.
I'm Sandy Johnson. I'm the superintendent of Hazard Independent Schools. As the superintendent of an independent district, I know the value of having a supportive community. This community, this workforce has always supported us. If we need something, if one of our students cannot afford something, someone in this community steps up and provides it. No student is left out because of the inability to pay. So I'm here to support these people that support us. But like someone said earlier, it's a trickle effect. When our coal miners lose jobs, they're going out of this area to find employment. As a result, we lose students. Therefore, I'm forced to make very hard decisions because we lose staff also. Right. And then just a couple of weeks ago, had a young boy come up to me at Hazard High School. He said, my dad got his layoff letter yesterday, so now I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford to go to college now. We need our students to have the freedom to be students and not worry about adult factors. We've got elementary students sitting there worrying, are mom and dad going to be able to make the house payment? Where are we going to go when we don't have a place to live? So it does trickle all the way down to our children. And, we have some of the most talented, most intelligent students. They're competitive with any student in the United States or in the world. We have students that attend Ivy League colleges. We have students that get full scholarships to every state university and many private universities in the state. But the sad thing is, they're not coming back home.
Because there's not opportunity, unfortunately. And that goes back to what we said at the beginning. We need to make sure that there's something to come home to.
Yes.
But it does start by the things we make. And I appreciate you sharing that with me. And that is my challenge as governor, is to make sure this state is a magnet, that we are a net producer of jobs and opportunity. Where they locate is going to be up to those businesses themselves. But if this state as a whole is strong, then every single part of it will do well. One thing I haven't touched on that I want to touch on real quickly, and then we can start to wind down. There are certain trunks that exist. And those trunks are the I-75 corridor, for example, is a strong north-south trunk. We want fruit. We want leaves to blossom and bloom out here off of the beaten path as some would see it. That's going to only happen if there's a branch growing off of this strong trunk. You look at what Knoxville and Chattanooga look like compared to 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, it's unbelievable. Why shouldn't that be, a London and a Corbin and a Richmond? Why shouldn't it be? It should be. And if it were, what would it look like as we start getting out to cities like Hazard? I mean, you would see those branches grow out and fruit would bloom and blossom out here in these communities. This is my job, is to make sure that we make it a state that attracts people. I'm grateful to you. Again, I appreciate the patience of those of you who have stayed here all this time, the questions that you have. I think we are going to wrap this up, but I will stick around for a bit until I get pulled away and meet with you all. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go stand over here by this door, and if you want to just give me a high five on the way out, great. If you want to skip me completely, you can go out that door and you won't even have to look at me. I'll give you the choice. I'll stand by one door. You can choose how you want to get out of here. But even if it's just to say hey to you real quickly, I'd love to shake your hand. I'd love to thank you.
Before you close, I wanted to share something with you. Hazard Community College was the first one to do an Etsy training here. And for you, and the vernacular for us people, if you don't know who Uber is or Flipkey or Airbnb or Etsy, then you're not even in the battle for the jobs that are out there for the people that are doing what's called storming. They don't work 9 to 5 anymore. You've got a lot of crafts and arts here. But we were the very first in the nation, I understand. Is that not right, Dr. Pate? We spent $900 and did an Etsy training right here in the facility and created more jobs than what the state had done the last year with all the money spent. We had a young lady come in for several weeks and do a training and help people get their websites up, do their product and stuff, and we did it in the cafeteria right around the corner here.
Who doesn't have any idea what Etsy is? And be honest, it's all right. It's kind of like eBay. Do you know what eBay is? Where you put stuff out there and you sell it with maybe something you made. It tends to be things that you more made yourself. These are the kind of things, exactly. I didn't know that this was the first place that was done. Perfect example of the kind of ways we can transcend mountains in this process. One final thing. Rebecca, you want to make a final? You want to close us out with a final? We usually have a 1 comment per customer rule, but we're going to make an exception for you here.
Any money at all. I moved back and I needed a place to stay. Where is Jamie Hill and Jim? Right here. Stand up right here. Come on, guys. I have known them since I was 3 years old. Their mother would come and pick me up every morning. They're the owners of Perry Oil, whether they wanted to by choice, but they inherited it and they're taking care of it. Now, however, I'm living in a building, which somebody was talking about here, that needs to be restored. We've cut down trees. We've done this. I've pressure washed. Hey, if you can come and help me pressure wash, I'll wash your truck. You know, if you'll come and help me cut grass, I'll dig a ditch. If we could, that's the one thing that we can do for each other is help each other. If you got a construction and you've got a garage, he might need his truck worked on. Okay? So they can build something for him to exchange, the barter exchange, buddy exchange. If I am so grateful for them that I get to come back in a building. We've redone it. It's been interesting to say the least. But I'm so thankful for Jamie and Jim and their mother and their late father. The greatest people ever. When my father was laid off for 1.5 years, their mother come to our house with 2 huge bags of presents because my mother cleaned house for them. When my dad was laid off, she cleaned houses and was very good at it, by the way. She came to our house not knowing, with 2 bags of Christmas gifts for all 5 of us, well, 4 at that time, children. I will never forget that as long as I live. Why can't we do that now? It don't have to be much. We just need to help each other. Come and help me, and I'll come and help you. It don't cost anything. A Diet Pepsi and a bologna sandwich, and I'll do all kinds. I'm just saying.
I love it. Thank you. And here's the thing. Let's close it out with this. That is a great thought. Let's have each other's back. It's the golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. As simple as that. My high school yearbook, my picture in my high school yearbook, I was wearing a shirt that came in a box to our house because somebody took care of bringing some clothes that were nicer than what I had, apparently, if I wore it in my high school senior picture. And I remember that shirt. I remember I always wanted to get to those boxes before my brothers did so I could get first dibs. That's what neighbors do. They have each other's back. They take care of each other. Let's clean up our trash, literally. Pick up the trash. I want this county to sparkle and those other counties that you represent. Let's put our best foot forward. Let's have each other's back. One of the worst things that's ever happened to Eastern Kentucky is when the government came in and started fixing all our problems. Let's be honest, it is. We become dependent on the government in ways that are sucking the life out of this community. We're better than this. We deserve better than this. Let's prove it because Kentucky is worth it. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you for letting me be here with you today. Let me make my way back here.